Hello everyone, today is 5th of September, now it's 20 to 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit later in the evening, in which I will share all the additional main news that will be reported by Russian media. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And well, also let me notice, dear friends, that my channel is not monetized on YouTube, and because we are about to observe, I believe, a new wave of anti-Russian hysteria in the collective West, and a new wave of attacks on Russian media outlets, including alternative media, which increases chances that my channel on YouTube will be blocked. If you can, please subscribe to my Rumble channel and watch videos or listen videos there, or subscribe to my Telegram channel, my page on X. This are, of course, main reserve lines of communication, together with the pages that I have on Patreon and Boosty platforms. Please consider to become a member of our communities on these platforms. Also, because who knows, just in case my channel on YouTube is deleted, we will still have a communication. All the links, of course, are under this video description box and in the pinned comment. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And first topic is exactly about this new wave of anti-Russian hysteria in the West. In US, PT to be more precise, and well, we have this report that Biden's administration to take a law enforcement action against RT, and this action was taken, by the way. Justice Ministry of US imposed sanctions, I believe, on editor-in-chief of RT, Margarita Simonyan, and 9 other members of the collective in RT, and sanctions were imposed on some people that are not even staff of RT, just collaborated with this media outlet. And let's go through this news, by the way. You're gonna laugh on reasoning why US is starting this new wave of anti-Russian hysteria. The administration of the US President Joe Biden is planning to accuse Russia of meddling in this year's presidential elections. Of course, dear friends, it's all about Russia and Russia's interference into elections in US. Nowadays, nothing happens in this world without Russia being involved. If it's too sunny day, it's Russia's fault, obviously. I mean, how else? If it's too much rain, of course, it's Russia's fault. If some bridge collapses in US because US administration has no care about its own citizens and spends hundreds of billions of US dollars, taxpayers' money to prolong a proxy war against Russia, then of course that's Russia's fault also. And if roads are not okay in US and people are, and middle class is shrinking, that's also Russia's fault. Everything, by the way, everything. It's if I don't know, asteroid will hit Jupiter in next couple of years, that will be Russia's fault also, or something. It's pure madness. Pure madness. World is laughing, by the way, at the Western media, so-called media outlets, at the Western ruling class. But unfortunately, this ruling class of the West is in a position of power. So much so that they have thousands and thousands of nuclear warheads in their hands. And that's why I'm always saying that Western ruling class is an existential threat for whole of humanity. So yes, these sick individuals now again pushing this anti-Russian, this crazy narrative that Russia is meddling in US elections, which is it's not just laughable for the rest of the world, but also supposed to be insult for US citizens. Because by acting this way, Biden's administration is saying to its own citizens that they cannot make up their own mind and they've been influenced by this country or that country or something like that, which is insulting, clearly, isn't it? If US citizens have not enough reasons to be against current administration of US, which is the worst what has happened to this country since since the Second World War, probably. You know. But anyways, let's go through this news. The administration of the US President Joe Biden, as I said, is planning to accuse Russia of meddling in this year's presidential elections and will announce law enforcement actions against those supposedly responsible. CNN reported on Wednesday. CNN, by the way, propaganda outlet of CIA and the Pentagon mainly. RT will be the prime target of these actions, the network stated. The White House will accuse Russia on Wednesday, they already did by the way, of sustained efforts to influence the 2024 US elections by using Kremlin-run media to spread so-called disinformation, CNN reported, citing US government sources. Okay, by the way, as I said, there are a number of people from RT already been sanctioned, and it's not just RT, but some other Russian media outlets also going to be hit by new wave of sanctions from the Washington. And even US citizens, I believe, were targeted that collaborated with RT. And for example, I believe Scott Ritter already stated on his X platform, if I'm not mistaken, that he will no longer be able to collaborate with RT and due to these sanctions, new wave of sanctions. And he thanked basically Russian media platforms with whom Ritter was working for giving him an opportunity, platform to speak to whole world basically. Because even if Russian media outlets are completely blocked in their collective West countries, rest of the world is much bigger, by the way, much bigger in all possible ways. And of course, Russian media is being read and listened and watched worldwide, obviously. But anyways, we have a response now from Russia's foreign ministry. TASS news agency is reporting that Maria Zakharova, official representative of Russian foreign ministry, stated in response to this latest craziness of the Washington that US administration, US political class is trying basically to sterilize media field in the country so that her public will have access only to state propaganda or deep state propaganda, and there are no alternative point of view will be available, which is true, by the way. That's exactly what Western ruling class wants to do with the collective West, not just with US, but with collective West in general. And that's why media outlets from not just Russia, but from other countries also are being targeted, and even US platforms, by the way, being targeted, right? To force them to basically start censoring information that is unpleasant for the Western ruling class, right? So Maria Zakharova is completely correct, and situation is already so bad in the Western collective West that if you're living in one of the Western countries and want to learn some latest news about any major development, you have no choice, literally you have no choice but to looking for information on alternative media on internet, because there is no way BBC, CNN, Deutsche Welle or France Press or MSNBC, Fox News, CNN and the rest of the garbage, New York Times, Politico, Washington Post, and I mean, we all know these major names, isn't it, in Western propaganda. There's no way they're gonna report true news. It's just not happening, right? And that's why, by the way, alternative media is gaining popularity, because more and more people are realizing that if you really want to learn something about major developments or about anything really, you have to start looking for information on alternative media, because Western major outlets full of crap, full of propaganda and fake news, by the way. That's what it is. And the Russian Foreign Ministry also made a statement that if Russian journalists will be expelled, and when Russian journalists basically will be expelled from US, Moscow will react in the same manner, and US journalists will no longer have opportunity to work in Russia. So therefore, I guess this information is going to be kind of warning for US, for representative of the Western propaganda outlets in Russia. They should start packing the bags, because on the very same day that US will force Russian journalists out, US so-called journalists in Russia will receive notice that they have to leave Russia also. Let's continue with some other news. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian armed forces were neutralizing Kiev regime's naval drones this morning in Novorossiysk area. Novorossiysk, of course, Russian port city on the Black Sea. And I saw on one of their sources that at least 2 naval drones were destroyed for that time. Maybe number is higher now. And one should keep in mind that whenever there is drone strikes, aerial or naval drone strikes in aquatory of the Black Sea, usually it's British military personnel that involved in the planning and conducting that operation. Russia knows this, obviously, and I expect during the day some strikes to take place in Nikolaev, Odessa areas before these British specialists manage to escape that place. Maybe these strikes already happened, and if so, I will report about it, of course, on my Telegram and their next updates. And I guess Russian side will try to hunt down these British operatives that were involved in this terrorist attack on Russia. Vzglyad newspaper is also reporting that Kiev regime declared evacuation of more than 30 settlements in Pokrovsk and Kramatorsk areas, which is not surprising, of course, because the Russian armed forces conducting successful, rapid and very successful local-scale offensive operations in direction of Pokrovsk, of course, and right now forward units of the Russian armed forces are on outskirts of Mirnograd city and in just about 3, 4, maybe 5 kilometers away from Pokrovsk itself. So in this particular case, yes, it does make sense to evacuate, obviously, civilians from this area, although this evacuation should be done earlier, significantly earlier, because Russian troops are advancing in this direction for without any significant stops or pauses for quite a while now. And I don't know if you see that video from Selidovo, for example. Russian troops, according to some reports, are now in central parts of Selidovo on the southern flank of Pokrovsk sector. And the day before Russian troops entered Selidovo, by the way, video started circulating on internet when people that were working for local administration, I guess, were planting some flowers in the city, and civilians were going about business as if nothing is happening. This city is about to end up on a line of contact, and Kiev regime did not even bother to warn people and to evacuate people. And you know why? Because first of all, they don't care about anybody except themselves, obviously, and secondly, Kiev regime was trying to hide progress of the Russian armed forces in Pokrovsk direction as long as they could, and therefore they refused to evacuate people. So, this information on its own is enough to understand what kind of individuals that Zelensky and his criminal associates are, or their Western masters. Anyways, let's continue. TASS News Agency is reporting that according to statements of Abtiel Audinov, Major General Abtiel Audinov, head of Akhmat Special Forces, Kiev regime's troops no longer are trying to conduct any offensive operations in areas of responsibility of Akhmat Special Forces in the Kursk salient, which is temporarily occupied by Kiev regime and NATO forces and the mercenaries. And now Kiev regime is more concentrated on redeploying reinforcements into Kursk salient to dig in and maintain control over these few dozen of settlements that they managed to occupy as long as they possibly can. Of course, Russian armed forces not gonna allow Kiev regime to redeploy these forces without challenge, and the Russian troops are, of course, targeting invading forces, and on daily basis, Kiev regime is losing hundreds of its military personnel in this area, and clearing operation basically is underway. I cannot tell you how long it will take to reestablish full control over there, this Kursk salient, but According to Russian Defense Ministry, Kiev regime already lost about 10,000 military personnel there, and there are hundreds and hundreds of military equipment. And this is all strategic reserves, by the way, that Kiev regime had. Vzglyad newspaper is reporting that during the yesterday's long-range precise strike of the Russian armed forces towards the Lvov region, and to be more precise, towards international airport in Lvov, two MiG-29s of the Ukraine's air forces was destroyed, and also one Su-24 frontline bomber was significantly damaged, which is a really big deal. One may wonder how many of those Soviet airplanes Kiev regime still has left, and at this point, I mean, I don't know for sure, obviously, but I think not many. Also, by the way, Vzglyad newspaper is reporting that former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, Dimitri Medvedev, reacted on information that Washington is about to start deliveries of the long-range GASSM cruise missiles to formerly Kiev regime. And he said that basically if Western ruling class will start deliveries of these long-range weapon systems, and we will see long-range strikes deep inside Russian territory, then Moscow will have no option but to establish sanitary zone or sanitary corridor, buffer zone, basically on the border with Poland. So Russian troops have to move towards Poland. Strong statement. I don't really understand why would Russia need to have anything to do with the Western Ukraine. Let the Poland deal with it, for example, or NATO. But statement itself definitely is a strong one, which indicates that in response to this constant escalatory steps from the collective West, Russia may move towards the western borders of the Ukraine. Theoretically speaking, that's a possibility, but I'm still I'm still think that my reading of the big picture is correct, and once this conflict will end, Ukraine will be divided. Western Ukraine will end up being controlled by NATO and eventually claimed by Poland, Hungary, and Romania, because some of territories there used to be part of these countries before Second, and in case of Hungary, before First World War. And the rest of the Ukraine most likely will be controlled by Russia and eventually join Russian Federation, although of course there is a slight chance, just a slight chance, that Kiev and surrounding areas, given the Kiev region, may remain as a landlocked quasi-state under the name of Ukraine. But yet again, why would Moscow ever agree on that? That's a big question, isn't it? But anyways, strong statements from Medvedev. We used to strong statements from Moscow at this point. Question is when and how Moscow will start reacting on these warnings, because it is clear for everybody in this world that Western ruling class has no reverse gear, and they're not going to listen to any warnings from Russia, and they're going to continue to escalate until they are forced to stop. Also, by the way, TASS news agencies report that press spokesman of the Russian president, Dmitry Peskov, was asked about mobilization once again on the sidelines of their Eastern Economical Forum that is taking place in Vladivostok now. And Peskov once again reiterated that Moscow has no plans to conduct mobilization. There is no need for that, and this topic is not in a discussion in the Kremlin. So that's what we have for now. I just remind you, dear friends, that in July, Dmitry Medvedev, former president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, stated that since the beginning of the year, 190,000 citizens of Russian Federation joined the Russian armed forces and signed a contract. So from January to July, 190,000 people joined the army, signed a contract, which is a quite huge number, isn't it? So because this high level of volunteers that are willing to serve in army and participate in a special military operation, they may really not be the necessity to conduct mobilization, although I would not be surprised at all if sometime in the future we will see mobilization anyways. And there may be some 300 to 500 people, reservists will be mobilized, myself included. And not because Russia needs some additional troops to conduct offensive operations, but to create a military police force that will police liberated areas. Because at some point we all understand that Russia will change its strategy from current mobile defense or active defense towards more towards their strategy that will be focused on territorial gains and vast areas of the currently Kiev controlled territories will be liberated. And of course, huge number of military police will be needed to make sure that on these liberated areas, Kiev regimes, DRGs, and the terrorists are not operating freely. But yet again, we have official statements from Peskov that for now at least there is no topic of mobilization is not in a conversation in Moscow. Sklad newspaper is also reporting that President of Serbia, Vučić, debunked basically, you know what? Let me translate, man. So Vučić denies. I couldn't remember this word, by the way, denies. So Vučić denies rumors of Serbia transferring MiG-29s to Ukraine in exchange of Rafales. So yes, these days, by the way, rumors are circulating on internet, including on Russian segment of internet, that Serbia transfer its 14, I believe, MiG-29s to France in exchange of receiving Rafale fighter jets, and France will eventually then transfer these MiG-29s to Ukraine. So the rumor was that Serbia not directly transfer planes to Ukraine, but to France. And when Vučić is saying that Serbia did not transfer planes to Ukraine, basically he is correct. Rumors never said that Serbia transferred planes to Ukraine directly. Rumors are that Serbia transferred planes to France. And what France will do with the Soviet-era MiG-29s, we all understand perfectly well, isn't it? So I don't know. Earlier I saw some statements from other high-ranking officials in Serbia who also denied that Serbia transferred its MiG-29s to France. But I mean, we are living in such strange times, by the way, that nothing will surprise me. Nothing, even if we will find out eventually that, yes, Serbia's leadership betrayed Russia and transferred its MiG-29s to France, so that France will then deliver those planes to Kiev regime. It is what it is, man. Sklad newspaper is reporting that, and this is the information for clown world, really, that Alex Christoforou does during his show. So Poland, by the way, and of course many members, all of us are familiar with Alex Christoforou, one of the hosts of Great Duran channel and show. So Polish Foreign Ministry, by the way, is issuing warning for a new foreign minister of Ukraine not to repeat mistakes of Kuleba, who basically recently went to eastern Ukraine and mocked territorial integrity of Poland and basically try to not just defend Ukrainian Nazis, by the way, that killed tens of thousands of Poles and many other people during the Second World War, but Kuleba somewhat tried to create from these Nazis some sort of heroes, and heroization. That's a word, isn't it? That is happening in Ukraine, by the way, of these Nazis, and he tried to pull off that trick in Poland, it didn't went down well, and the Polish Foreign Ministry was very critical of Kuleba for that. And yesterday and day before yesterday, rumors start circulating that Kuleba is about to be replaced. Kuleba write a resignation letter, but state rather, or so-called parliament in Ukraine, did not vote on this topic. So formally, Kuleba is still foreign minister of Ukraine. So therefore, Polish foreign ministry basically played itself, because Ukraine don't really have yet new foreign minister. So they should wait a little bit. They should wait. But I guess anger in the Polish political class was so high that they prefer to make such warning up front before new foreign minister is appointed by Kyiv regime. But anyways, let's continue. And dear friends, let me now notice, if I may, that this small media project of mine with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram exists solely thanks to support of our community, and I will be immensely grateful if you will also consider to support my work and this project with their donations through PayPal or Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. And you also can subscribe on Boosty page, by the way. I have plenty of extra content on Patreon, obviously, which is much more developed, and also on Boosty, by the way. And the subscription on Patreon starts from monthly subscription on Patreon starts from $5. I really hope we will manage to reach 200 members on Patreon before end of this year. Hopefully a little bit earlier, because only then, once we will reach 200 members, probably this project will be will leave this place of constant survival. Until then, every single month is a struggle for survival. And as you can see, dear friends, I have no advertising. My channel is monetized only on Rumble, and the views are so little that each video makes only like 20, 30, 50 cents. Very rarely $1. So it's not really can be seen as a significant platform in terms of financial support for the project. But who knows, maybe more people will subscribe on my Rumble channel and watch videos there. It is possibility. In any case, by the way, all the links, if you want to support, all the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to all the members of our community who supported and continues to support my work. Thank you very much. And let's continue with some more news. Interfax is reporting, and none of us gonna be surprised by this news, that Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, stated that Israeli side is ready for compromises on topic of the escalation in Gaza Strip, but not on a topic of Philadelphia corridor. And in this one statement, by the way, Netanyahu is contradicting himself, isn't it? Because Philadelphia corridor is a Gaza Strip, right? On the borderline between Gaza and Egypt. And yesterday, US media outlets were reporting, and I shared this information on update, that Israel was ready to at least partially withdraw its troops from Philadelphia corridor. And I was skeptical of that news. I said that most likely Washington and or US administration and Israeli leadership are trying to fool this entire world by manipulating with the words. And today we have this report, which confirms that I was correct, by the way. Netanyahu stated that there can be no compromises on Philadelphia corridor. So it is clear, by the way, that Israeli leadership has no true intent to de-escalate. And therefore, at this point, it's just not possible to trust anything that comes out from Netanyahu's regime or the Biden's administration. I mean, it is what it is. Also, a few more news, dear friends, and well, notebook is beginning to overheat, unfortunately, and hopefully it will not turn off. Okay, I will go through at least headlines. So, TASS News Agency is reporting that 81 members of the parliament in France sign up for to impeach Macron. I don't know if this is enough to force Macron to resign, but seems like a significant number of French MPs are not happy that Macron refused to appoint as a prime minister candidate of the winning party. This like leftist bloc, and therefore probably this internal confrontation in France will further escalate. Vzglyad newspaper is also reporting that Prime Minister of Malaysia accepted invitation of the Russian president to participate in BRICS summit in Kazan, capital of Russia's Tatarstan Autonomous Republic, which is significant, obviously. RT is reported that Russian president outlined Russia's competitive edge. The proximity of the Russia's Far East to major international logistic routes is one of the region's major advantages, President Vladimir Putin said on Wednesday on the sidelines of the Eastern Economical Forum in Vladivostok, and he definitely has a point, obviously. And what is also important, by the way, in 2027, I believe, before end of this decade for sure, Russia will receive its first super icebreakers, nuclear icebreakers, new generation ships that will be able to basically maintain Northern Sea route open entire year, even winter times, by the way. And that is going to be game changer, of course, because this Northern Sea route that goes on a Russian coastline on the north, let me show you on the map, by the way, is shortens overall distance to transfer goods from Europe to Asia, global south, or from global south to Europe significantly, by the way, very significantly. So Vladivostok is here, right? And this is Russia's Northern Sea route, which, as I said, shortens time that is needed right now for goods to reach from Asia to Europe and from Europe to Asia significantly. And once this Northern Sea route will start operating entire year, by the way, of course, that's gonna be very big deal. So Putin definitely has point in his statements. Also, by the way, head of Russia's biggest bank, Sber, German Gref, made a statement that most likely Russian economy passed their peak of the overheating and their situation should get better from now, which is a big deal, by the way. Yet again, I mean, who would think that despite all these sanctions that West impose on Russia and pressure, Russia's economy will not just not collapse, but will gain momentum so much so that it will start overheat. And it's a big deal right now. And well, if Gref is correct and the Russian economy past that peak point of the overheating, then I guess this is a big deal, because central bank in that case will not increase interest rates most likely. And we have statement on interest rates from head of second biggest Russian bank, Andrei Kostin, who said that he personally believes that central bank will not raise interest rates in September up to 20%, although he also mentioned that analytics of the VTB bank that he is leading, analytics of the VTB bank are disagree with him, and they still expect that central bank, due to overheated economy, will still increase interest rates up to 20%. Well, let's see. In any case, even if central bank will increase interest rates up to 20% now in September, probably that's going to be it. And from 2025, we will see gradual decrease of interest rates, because hopefully economy will be in a better place, and there will no longer struggle with overheat overheating. And yes, this is it for now. By the way, relatively short update, which is good. Hopefully you will find this update interesting, informative, and useful. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. And if you can, please share information about my channel with your friends in real life or on internet or on any of the platforms that you are actively using. This is the only way we can somehow influence the algorithm and reach wider audience. And yes, if you find my channels interesting, useful, if you think my channels deserve to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. Well, it is good that notebook did not turn off due to overheating, by the way. I don't know if you can hear, microphone is on should not allow this noise to go through, but coolers are working on maximum right now. Okay, I have to end, dear friends, this update. Have a great day, and take care.